Vince McMahon, the name synonymous with WWE and professional wrestling, has long been heralded as a visionary who transformed the wrestling business into a global entertainment juggernaut. Yet beyond the bright lights and larger-than-life personalities lies a darker, more controversial history. McMahon's rise to power and his reign at the helm of WWE have been marked by scandals, legal battles, and personal controversies that have cast a shadow on his legacy. In this video, we delve deep into the dark history of Vince McMahon, from his early beginnings to his current troubles, revealing the controversies that have followed him throughout his career. The early days, ruthless ambition. Vince McMahon's ruthless business acumen was evident from the moment he took control of what was then known as the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, WWF, from his father, Vincent J. McMahon, in the early 1980s. McMahon saw wrestling as something more than just a regional attraction and began expanding the WWF into new territories, breaking the long-standing territory system of professional wrestling. This move put him at odds with other promoters across the country, but McMahon was relentless. He aggressively poached top talent from regional promotions and forged new television deals, taking wrestling national and eventually global. His ambition helped WWF become the dominant force in the industry, but his cutthroat tactics earned him enemies in the wrestling world. However, it was McMahon's decisions off-camera that would bring him into legal and ethical battles over the next few decades. The steroid scandal of the 1990s. One of the most significant scandals in Vince McMahon's career was the infamous steroid trial in 1994. By the late 1980s, it had become an open secret that many of WWE's top stars were using anabolic steroids to achieve their muscular physiques. Wrestlers like Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and others had larger-than-life bodies that fueled the spectacle of WWE. Behind the scenes, McMahon allegedly encouraged or turned a blind eye to this rampant steroid use. In 1993, the U.S. government indicted Vince McMahon on charges of conspiracy to distribute steroids to WWE talent. The prosecution's case hinged on testimony from former WWE doctor George Zahorian, who had supplied steroids to wrestlers, as well as evidence that McMahon had knowledge of and even facilitated the use of performance-enhancing drugs in his company. The trial captured national attention and threatened to bring down WWE. If convicted, McMahon faced serious jail time, which could have crippled his empire. However, McMahon's legal team managed to discredit key witnesses, including Hulk Hogan, who testified that McMahon never explicitly ordered him to take steroids. McMahon was acquitted of all charges, but the damage to WWE's reputation was significant. The steroid trial highlighted the dark underbelly of the wrestling business, where the pressure to maintain a certain look often led to dangerous health choices. Though McMahon escaped legal consequences, the trial left a lasting stain on his reputation. The tragic deaths of wrestlers. Another black mark on Vince McMahon's legacy is the alarming number of professional wrestlers who died prematurely, often due to complications from drug use, head injuries, or other health issues exacerbated by the grueling wrestling lifestyle. One of the most tragic deaths in WWE history was that of Owen Hart in 1999. During a live pay-per-view event, Hart fell to his death from the rafters while attempting a dangerous stunt. The show continued despite the tragedy, and McMahon faced heavy criticism for how the incident was handled. Hart's widow sued WWE, and though the case was settled, the loss of Owen Hart became one of the darkest chapters in WWE history. Beyond individual tragedies, there's a larger pattern of wrestlers from the 1980s and 1990s, many of whom worked for WWE, dying at an alarmingly young age. The deaths of performers like Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and many others have raised serious questions about the toll the wrestling business takes on its talent, both physically and mentally. McMahon's handling of these issues has often been called into question, as critics argue that WWE has not done enough to protect the health and well-being of its wrestlers. The Chris Benoit tragedy. The murder-suicide involving Chris Benoit in 2007 was arguably the darkest moment in WWE history. Benoit, one of the most respected wrestlers of his era, killed his wife and young son before taking his own life. The event shocked the world and led to widespread media coverage that examined the role of concussions, brain injuries, and drug use in professional wrestling. An autopsy of Benoit's brain revealed that he had severe brain damage, likely from repeated concussions suffered during his wrestling career. This led to increased scrutiny of WWE's handling of concussions and their long-term effects on wrestlers. While WWE eventually instituted more stringent concussion protocols and wellness policies, many argued that these measures came too late for the numerous wrestlers who had already suffered from brain injuries. The Benoit tragedy brought into focus the dark side of the wrestling business and raised ethical questions about the way WWE and Vince McMahon managed talent, particularly when it came to protecting their health. Sexual misconduct allegations. In 2022, McMahon faced another scandal when reports emerged that he had paid millions of dollars in hush money to multiple women to cover up allegations of sexual misconduct. These allegations dated back years, with some claiming McMahon used his position of power to coerce women into sexual relationships. As the investigations unfolded, McMahon stepped down as CEO and chairman of WWE, marking a temporary end to his decades-long control over the company. However, the damage to his public image was immense. For years, McMahon had managed to avoid serious consequences for his actions, but the sexual misconduct allegations brought renewed scrutiny to his leadership. The scandal also reflected poorly on WE as a whole, as it raised questions about the company's internal culture and whether McMahon's behavior was part of a broader pattern of misconduct within the organization. What's happening now? Vince McMahon's decline. Vince McMahon's grip on WWE has weakened in recent years, with his son-in-law Paul Triple H Levesque taking a more prominent role in creative decision-making. The recent sexual misconduct allegations and hush money scandal led McMahon to step away from WWE, and he has not returned to the company since. With WWE's recent merger with UFC under the banner of Endeavor, the company now operates under a more corporate structure, where decision-making power is more distributed. McMahon's departure has been met with mixed reactions, as some fans are excited to see what the new leadership might bring to WWE's future, while others remain skeptical of the company's ability to adapt to modern sensibilities without McMahon's influence. Vince McMahon's legacy is complex, marked by both incredible success and profound controversy. On one hand, he revolutionized professional wrestling, turning it into a global phenomenon. On the other hand, his career has been marred by scandals, legal battles, and a callous disregard for the well-being of his performers. As McMahon's role in WWE diminishes, the full scope of his influence, both positive and negative, will continue to be debated. For now, Vince McMahon remains a figure who, despite his monumental contributions to the wrestling world, carries with him a dark and controversial past that will forever shape his legacy. In the end, Vince McMahon is both a wrestling icon and a deeply flawed individual. A man whose ambition and ruthlessness brought him immense power, but also left behind a trail of controversies that will never be forgotten.